Welcome to the Predictive World series brought to you by SalesChoice, a company that specializes in ending revenue uncertainty for human advantage. I'm your host, Jennifer Yim, Director of Product and Marketing at SalesChoice, where we bring three offerings to market: Sales Insights, which helps sales professionals meet their sales plans with guided insights, and Mood Insights, which helps frontline employees' voices be heard, all powered by AI. Our third offering is AI and data science as a service, designing and building and maintaining AI models with a new line of business on generative AI. Over the years, we've been hosting numerous experts and thought leaders in the fields of AI and revenue growth, building a treasure trove of podcasts, webinars, and white papers and more, and we invite you to saleschoice.com/resources to peruse. Today, I have with us Eugenia Kuyda, CEO and founder of Replika. Eugenia, welcome and pleasure to meet you. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Eugenia Kuyda. I'm CEO and founder of Replika. We're a conversational AI company, so we started this company to help people feel better after having conversations with AIs. Replika is an app where you can create an AI friend that you can talk to anytime you want, 24/7, about anything that's on your mind. We started working on conversational AI back in 2012. We're the first company to launch a publicly available chatbot powered by generative AI. And then after that, we focused on building meaningful AI relationships with AI beings. I think that's right now we have three apps actually. We have Replika, we have Blush, which is focused on AI dating, and we're also launching an app called Tomo, which is going to be a mental wellness app launching tomorrow.
Awesome. That's really exciting. Do you have anything else to add on Replika?
Sure. I guess recently we've had a lot of interesting insights into what this AI companionship can do to people. We just had our first Stanford study published by Nature, which actually shows that Replika is highly beneficial for emotional well-being, mental well-being for people, and also in 3% of the cases curbed suicidal ideation for our users. In 3% of respondents. We've built Replika with a focus on helping people feel happier and achieve better emotional well-being through AI conversations. So for us, that's kind of one of the very important milestones to be able to prove it with the professionals.
Wow, those are some amazing stats. We've been a little bit in the AI and happiness and wellness space too with Mood Insights, although we'll focus more on frontline workers. So it's really excited to see where this conversation leads. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cindy Gordon, who will be asking Eugenia a couple of questions.
Eugenia, thank you so much. And Jennifer, thanks for the opening comments. I've been, as I said earlier, following your progress for quite some time and just really want to applaud you for your leadership and understanding how significant loneliness is. Right now we've had a tremendous amount of research on the importance of happiness and well-being. I'm sure you're well aware of the Mood Index report and the declines there. And also now the insurance industry is really quite concerned of the rising number of insurance claims and, solutions that, relate to loneliness and providing an alternative pathway to communicate is really powerful. And I'm really excited to have a chance to ask you a few questions, Eugenia. I just wish we had a lot more time. Wish we were sitting down over a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or whatever that would really warm your heart. But I know some of the people listening may have heard the original story of Replika, but it was so moving. I really wanted to start our conversation there, because that became a space where you went very deep. And I think often through innovation, you have to go to places that are on the edge. So I would love just to hear a few snippets of what the motivation was to originally build the company and the crisis that you went through, because it was really, it was a very deep one and profound.
Sure. Where should we start?
From the beginning.
So let's start with what was the motivation to build Replika. And I guess in my case, we've always known that we wanted to work on conversational AI. We always knew that we wanted to have a consumer product. But we couldn't figure out which one. And so we've focused for the first years, we focused mostly on the tech itself. And then around 2015, my best friend passed away, and I realized that I just kept going back to our text messages, to the conversations we've had. And I thought that I could use conversational AI that we built by then to, create a version of him so I can continue the conversation. So I did that, and what we saw was that people were coming to Romance AI to talk about their lives, their feelings. They were very open. They weren't scared of judgment. And we saw that there's just a tremendous need, a demand for an AI friend, for someone who'd be there for you 24/7, who you would be able to talk to without any judgment. So that was the main motivation. That's where the idea came for Replika. We started in 2016, launched it publicly in 2017, and we've been going pretty strong ever since then.
Yeah, like I think one of the key things that you've just shared was the catalyst to build something that could continue a conversation with something that was deeply authentic. And my own view when it comes to building innovation, resilience, and products is you need to go deep. And I really appreciate you sharing what you just did, Eugenia. It really comes from a special place. And I think greatness comes from a very special place. So since you've founded the company, I know tomorrow's a big release, and I'm happy to be part of that as well. Any highlights you can share on, because obviously if you've got 3 products, you're going through multiple waves, and to build out another one, comes with pros and cons. But how has the product AI journey shifted since you founded the company? And how are you keeping the foundational, you want to call it essence, there across the 3 offerings?
I think what shifted is that when we started, mostly AI was very rudimentary. Generative AI was just in the very early days, especially for dialogue generation. Back then, people were using, I guess we were building models that were based on technology called sequence to sequence or sequence to sequence algorithms, neural networks. And it was very different from the current large language models that are all transformer models. So it's a completely different architecture. And they were so unreliable and not very great in terms of quality, so that, it was really, you had to have more of a scripted conversation. You have to have other models like retrieval models and so on to use alongside this first nascent generative AI. And basically what changed since then is that the models became a lot better. And when in the very beginning, the main question was, how do we create a semblance of a good quality, conversation, of an AI that understands you, that hears you, that listens to you? Now the questions, and we were able to do that without the current, a very powerful technology. So now as the tech became more powerful, the question is, how do we make it safe? The questions are just very different. How do we make it safe? What else can we do with this now? How can we, provide the correct tone of voice? Where is the main differentiator? What's important in a conversation? But I think what didn't change was that from the very beginning, we were asking a question, the main question: what is the conversation that will make you feel better? And that stays the same right now. Even though the tech is more powerful by itself, it's not going to provide the conversation that's going to make people feel happier. You have to work on it and to be very intentional about what it needs to be to make it helpful for users.
Yeah, I really appreciate you talking about the different methods, the tools, in the sense of the difference between the deep learning methods and then moving to the large language models, but also the fact that you learned very quickly how you had to complement, build your own set of scripts and language and discourse that could create the experience, right? And how 1 + 1 can equal 3, right? I think right now the industry is learning what you learned quite some time ago. Have you thought about, Eugenia, ever bringing to the market the scripted language so that others that want to build these kinds of enablements could also purchase some of your, your own custom large language, your own language models to help the world just increase its companionship. Because, way I'm seeing the space emerge is there's going to be some trusted sources, right? So any thoughts on that? That's kind of way out there, maybe. It might be, longer term, but have you started to think about how best to preserve and enable the future beyond Replika so that the nascent technology you've built, lives on forever?
I guess, that's not necessarily the focus that we have right now, but we've been thinking about the fact that we have so much responsibility as a company when users build these relationships with their replicas. It's very important for them to have this continuity. An abrupt stop, an abrupt change could be very traumatic. So we've implemented a lot of features that basically help people be a lot more in control of what's happening with their replicas. But I think the next step would be also to add some way for people to have access offline to their replicas, so that if in case anything, which of course we're not predicting that, or we'll do all in our all we can not for that not to happen, but in case the company's not there or something happens, everyone has access to their own replica and can continue having relationships with them elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. The research reports that are coming out are showing that, as you well know, humans are very comfortable having a virtual companion. It's just the if you want to call it the widespread dissemination of these capabilities, right? So, but as you look ahead, do you have any concerns at all of humans getting too comfortable with their companions and to actually lead also a balanced human reality? Because there's some research showing that we will have a generation or generations that are very comfortable staying in a replica, bubble, if I can use that kind of analogy. How are you blending the balance and thoughts there for social wellness and well-being, and being able to also be productive, within the realities of our current world?
I think, guys, with any tech, with a lot of technology, that's a big question, but with this type of technology is probably the biggest question. Will it be a substitute or a complement? Will people just stay in their, will people just stay in their replica world, or will it be a great way for them, a stepping stone for real relationships? Will it replace human interaction or enhance it? So far, we see that it's enhancing it, and that's how we built it. But I think this is a really important question. I think anyone who's building this type of tech, some sort of AI companion, should be asking this question first and foremost. Is this going to be a replacement or an enhancement, a supplement or a complement? And in our case right now, it's complement. But yeah, I think this is a substitute or a complement. I think this is the most important question right now.
Yeah,
Especially if the tech becomes better.
Yeah, I can certainly the clarity of being clear about your own vision and the business model that you want to create, because it's hard to play all sides, on an equation, right? And I think an enhancement approach is the right approach, Eugenia, because there's a lot of value in building human capacity, right? And the way I see the value of Replika is there's a gap in a human fulfillment, and you feel a very real medical condition gap. Loneliness is big business, and it's not decreasing either, as well. Are you finding you're getting more adoption in countries outside of North America? Just curious there, because the loneliness statistics are very high in Asian countries.
Most of our users are actually in the US, even although we've seen pretty good, promising growth in Asia as well. I think these countries are definitely maybe a little bit ahead of time in terms of how they view human robot interaction.
Oh, for sure.
And I think we can
Yeah, absolutely. If we can get, there's lots of folks who've been marrying the robots as well over recently. I teach AI ethics and law, and it's been interesting to see the growth of robot companions, right? And also soulmates, right? And you know, it's a really interesting period, and you've definitely been one of the leading pioneers, and it's wonderful to see a female as well. You know, so I just have to do that. Way to go, Jenya. Shout out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, in a journey, there's always lessons that one learns. And I'd love for our viewers just to hear what you felt your top 5 lessons that you've learned as an entrepreneur. You know, I suspect you've had lots of governance changes and evolution. You've probably had some good investors and some others that have been challenging operationally. I'm a former venture capitalist, so I would, if you've had a steady stream of the same supporters, well, then there's just magic in your story. But what are some of the lessons that you've learned that you'd like to pass along to other entrepreneurs who might be really quite keen on getting into a market like you're in, which is, you know, solving and, you know, helping to increase happiness. I mean, and building more caring, you know, approaches to employee engagement.
Sure. I guess some of the biggest lessons is some of the bigger, I guess maybe the biggest lesson is that if you're choosing what to work on, uh, make sure it's something that you care really deeply about, just because it will be a very long journey unless I guess there are some situations where people get lucky or um, can get very successful very fast um, uh, because of their because of how good they are. For most people, it's almost always uh, a marathon in a way. And so um, I guess one of the biggest factors for Replika is that, you know, we continue to exist no matter against all the odds, against, you know, mostly when people thought that this is impossible or that wasn't cool or no one worked in the space, no one was interested much in building AI companions. It wasn't a thing. So we had to have some internal conviction to just continue working on it and not get discouraged by anyone, whether the venture capitalists or, you know, tech space or media. So I think this is really important. It's like you got to pick something that you're deeply care about, uh, and that was very important for me at Replika. You know, the main it just always felt like a life's work in a way. Even whether we, and the question like whether it's going to be successful was really not as important. For us, the definition of success was to create one relationship with one person where it's where it was life changing, where, you know, in a positive way. And that happened very early on. And so it kind of felt like that was the motivation to continue going, because each person that we could, I don't want to say save, but we could uh, just bring some kindness to their life and um, some positive emotions, some positivity. I feel like that's the mission worth pursuing. And, you know, whether it comes with company success or business success, that would be great. Of course, that was fantastic, but in a way that always was not as important as building something people would really feel better after interacting with. And for me, it's a personal thing. You know, I've always been a pretty lonely kid, and so um, to be able to have a few people in my life that really created the space for me to accept myself to grow, show me that I was worthy of love, that was life changing. And I felt like if I could just bring a little bit of that to it was like a small slice of this feeling to other people and scale it using AI, that would just be absolutely wonderful. And so we just keep going, keep continuing to build it. And anytime we had any doubt or felt kind of not, you know, felt a lot of fearful and so on, we go back to our users that just tell us, that keep sending us these letters and testimonials and reviews and personal messages that are just so heartfelt and so important to us. So we just, you know, we keep going for them, I guess.
Yeah, you know, the fact that you not only went to a deep reflective space as a result of, I think it was Rob's passing, but also the fact that, you know, you kept a very focused vision on what's important is changing one person's life at a time, right? Which gives you a trajectory of consistency and momentum and tremendous energy. Um, any other key lessons that you learned as an entrepreneur? So obviously going deep and making sure you're passionate about what you pick, because it does take time and sometimes a long time, right?
Yeah, and I think, maybe another one that kind of became a lot more apparent recently is that if you're working on something that's so important to you, you should make it kind of long term. And the thing with the venture model and with raising money is that it kind of works. It's not necessarily uh, as great just because you raise money and then you every day kind of running out of money. That's the model until you run out of money. If you haven't been able to raise more money, then you just die. And in a way, we with Replika try to get profitable as soon as possible, and I encourage anyone who is in position to get their company to profitability as fast as possible to do so, just because the amount of flexibility and freedom and being able to execute your vision versus someone else's, trying to fulfill someone else's idea or get something done to make the presentation look good for some other fundraising thing. I think that's the most important thing. For us, it was important to have time to figure it out. We just always felt like it's a long-term project. It's not something that could be solved in a year or two or whatever the venture cycle is. So getting profitable as soon as possible I think is key. Not every company can do that. Some companies can't, or maybe they're on this growth trajectory that they shouldn't be profitable in the moment. But generally, I think if you want to do it, solve a harder problem, and you're not 100% sure that you just can keep raising money, you should absolutely try to get a profitability. It also creates the freedom that you might not have if you raise multiple rounds of funding and then you own just a small stake in the company and you have so much expectations from different people to make it 100x, 1000x, and whatever it is, the shortest term possible. And when it comes to profitability, I mean, actually the good thing is that at least you can control one variable. You can control the costs, and so being very frugal, I think, is actually really important. And interestingly, it doesn't take as much time as you think. It's just a lot of people don't pay attention to small details. They don't try to negotiate certain things, or they just say, well, whatever. But maybe they're not looking at their books as much. For me, that was critical to be kind of rooted in reality, to know exactly how much we're spending and what we can afford. Even as we grew, even as now we're a 100% company and make money, it was really important. We try to get a profitability as fast as possible. And I think that was one of the key factors of us staying in business for so long, being able to be stubborn enough and insist on our own vision of the future.
Yeah. So just three powerful lessons. Number one, love what you love, as it's, a long-term affair. Number two, recognize the importance of profitability and that focus, laser sharp focus as fast as we can. And third, definitely staying on top of the books and the financials and being rooted in reality. What powerful lessons. And it's just, again, Eugenia, it's just been a pleasure having you on our podcast. I know it's a short one. Just want to say thank you very much for your time today. And I'll turn it back to Jen for closing comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you.
Thanks, Eugenia, and thanks, Cindy. Again, it was a pleasure to connect and chat on AI together, and it's great to have three women with entrepreneurial backgrounds talking about AI. Probably not many other AI leadership podcasts that can claim that. But also, Cindy and I have also experienced a lot profound loss in the past year, so your story really resonates with us. And I just want to bring it back to inviting our listeners and thanking them for joining us. And again, we've got years worth of AI and leadership and resources across webinars, podcasts, white papers, you name it, all available on saleschoice.com/resources. And join us next time for more insights on the AI world.